Hello everyone! If you follow my channel for a while now, you may have noticed that most of the content over here is about AEG replicas, and sometimes also some spring-powered or HPA stuff. I recently noticed that in all my 8 years of playing Airsoft, I actually never owned a gas blowback rifle, and therefore that I'm basically a complete beginner in this aspect. This is why I asked my sponsoring partner Begadi to send me a suitable GBBR for beginners, so I can take some first steps with such a platform and see what an entry-level model should be capable of. This is my review of the Army Armament R60 in the Begadi Special version. Okay guys, let's take a look on what we get here. The R60 by Army Armament is a gas blowback airsoft replica, obviously inspired by the classic G36C by Heckler & Koch. As far as I can tell, the basic model also is sold as the R36 in some locations, but the overall shooting system actually should be the same. The replica I am reviewing here is the Begadi Special version, which got some upgrades compared to the original one by Army Armament. I'll come back to this later. Inside the box, we find a brief user manual, a set of spare parts, which could come in handy when doing maintenance, a typical 90-round speed loader with an adapter piece for gas magazines, 2 gas magazines, which is quite impressive considering the fact that one is sold for about $35 separately, and a cleaning rod for your inner barrel. When remembering the entire set's price of only 219 euros, that's quite a lot of accessories that come with the actual replica. From what I know of the AEG world, there are many far more expensive offers including a lot less items. That's what I call a good deal, so far. The body of the R60 mainly consists of roughly texturized polymer. In this aspect, it comes close to the original G36. There are some metal parts on the externals, however, for example the body pins, the outer barrel, the front rails or the flash hider. While the original G36 polymer is reinforced with carbon fiber to reduce weight, I guess the main reason for the material choice on this replica was to reduce the price. The quality is, of course, a little lower. Begadi claims it to be a nylon reinforced kind of polymer. But I have to admit, it still does feel alright and by far not cheap, like many entry-level AEGs I've seen before. In terms of workmanship and grade of quality, there are probably some downsides compared to higher-priced replicas. For example, you will find some molding seams on the folding stock and on the handguard. Also, the body opening for the fire selector does not seem to be drilled super precisely. In my eyes, all not too bad and definitely no deal breaker, but at least worth to mention. Besides those points mentioned, and maybe the lack of originally licensed markings, I see no more hints that would make the low price point of this replica obvious. So if you're willing to accept those, I think you will be quite satisfied with the overall outer appearance. If you are familiar with the G36 platform, there is not that much to tell you about the user-friendliness of this R60 replica, as the operation of the GBBR basically works quite similar to the real firearm. The weight of 3.2 kilograms, including the quite heavy magazine of about 700 grams, feels quite comfortable for me. Not too much for a longer game day, I assume. The only little downside for me would be the bolt release button right in front of the trigger, which really needs some strong pushing to release the bolt after an empty magazine. But besides that, all the ambidex features, including the aluminium charging handle and the fire selector, work absolutely fine for me. As an additional comfort service, Begadi added a Chrono protocol, which tells us the energy range of the R60 varies from 1.49 to 1.1 joules. Although temperature and gas used are not documented, the results do not look that consistent to me. Let's double check this on the Chrono. For my test, I measured the magazine's temperature at around 15 degrees Celsius, while the mag is completely filled with Protect green gas. Let's go. being settled a little lower than on the Begadi protocol, the energy output of the 33 shots seemed to be a lot more consistent to me. Besides 2 exceptions, the entire magazine did not drop below 1.1 joules, so I'm positively surprised actually. Let's see how many shots we will get out of the remaining gas filling. More than 100 shots done, and still the energy stays quite consistent, but about 0.2 joules lower. After 198 shots, the energy has dropped down to 0.5 joules and the rest of the gas blowed off. The results still impress me, however, meaning you can easily do 5 to 6 full max without significant energy drop. Not bad. The disassembly of the main body parts is a lot easier than on any AEG I've owned before. Just push out the 2 main body pins, store them into the designated holes in the folding stock, and you can separate the upper from the lower receiver. You do not even need any kind of tools to do so. This is a very pleasant feature, which also is included in the real steel version. Now we can take a look on the most important internal parts. On the original version by Army Armament, the wearing parts are made of some weaker, not so resistant metal, following other video reviews. But on the Begadi Special version, all of the parts which tend to break are made of steel, which probably increases their average lifetime drastically. Improvements also have been done to the upper receiver internals. Begadi installed their own GBB5 hopper bucking with a matching tensioner and a 6.03mm upgrade inner barrel to the replica. You can see the nozzle having some satisfying tight fit to the bucking, which, told from my little GBB experience, should provide some very good seal. The Chrono results you saw before underline this finding. Of course, I'm by far no expert in the field of gas blowback replicas, but my personal impression is that this particular one will last for a long time when being handled properly, and gives you a lot of value for your money. Oh, and before I forget, of course, there's also a 14mm counterclockwise thread for fitting tracer units and silencers. Just unscrew the flash hider and install the accessory you like. When it comes to the actual blowback effect, I'm sorry to admit to not really having a comparison to give to you. The recoil is a lot crisper and stronger than on electronic blowback systems I owned before, but besides that, I just can tell I really like the effect and it gives you some nice feedback with every shot, something absolutely unique for GBBR setups. For the shooting test, I mounted my Vortex Spitfire Gen 2 replica with 3x magnification on the R60 to have some clear vision on my target. As you know from my previous shooting tests, I'm not a friend of fixed shooting positions or completely windless indoor environments, as they do not represent the reality of playing airsoft. So, as usual, I set up my med-sized target in a distance of 50 meters, so you can see and hear if the R60 is capable of claiming some hits on this typical mid-range distance. After testing this R60, my very first GBBR Airsoft replica, what can I tell you? Well, at a price point that usually just buys you a high-quality backup pistol or a ticket for the Dark Emergency event here in Germany, you get a competitive and sturdy gas system, which does surprise in terms of efficiency, range, precision and overall feel. In case you're willing to accept the minor lacks of finishing quality, this one is, in my eyes, a more than suitable first GBBR for beginners, which is why this one probably will not be the last GBB video on this channel. Maybe I will see you when it's time? So long, have a good one.